In the U.S., there was a ruling on a controversial pipeline. A court in North Dakota rejected the request of a Native American tribe. It asked for a complete halt on the pipeline project, claiming construction disturbed sacred land. The CBC's Tim Fontaine was there today as the decision was announced.
What do we want? Stop the pipeline! Do we want it? Now!
Dozens of Native American veterans march on the highway, some who fought for the United States in Vietnam. Now they're fighting a pipeline project in North Dakota.
So you let the pipeline know that the veterans are here.
The pipeline runs right beside the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation just south of the state capital. And that has sparked a battle that has drawn thousands of people from across North America.
It's overwhelming. It's something else. You know, I never expected it to be this big.
The Sioux tried to stop it in court, arguing the project puts local waterways at risk and destroys sacred burial sites. Today, a federal judge denied the request to stop work.
It's disappointing, but that's what happens when you place the outcomes of your lives in someone else's hands.
Catherine Whitecloud traveled to Standing Rock from Manitoba. She says this camp is here to stay.
It just means that they're going to buckle in. We're going to buckle in. Our people will buckle in. They were preparing for a winter camp, and they will stay.
Soon after the ruling, the U.S. government stepped in over concerns about how Indigenous communities are consulted on these projects. It asked the company for a temporary halt on construction. The company hasn't responded yet. The Standing Rock Sioux has appealed the judge's ruling, and as this legal battle continues, it means many more like Catherine Whitecloud could soon make the trip to this camp. Tim Fontaine, CBC News, on the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation in North Dakota.
5 News.
It's their sacred area, you know, where their families, their tribe grew up. You know, it's their sacred burial land. You don't mess with the burial land.
Now at 6:30, a federal judge today issued a ruling that is being condemned by Native American tribes all across the country. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Wright.
And I'm Lori Matsukawa. The judge refused to halt work on a pipeline project that the tribes say is disturbing Indian burial grounds. King 5's Chris Ingalls reports how the North Dakota thousands of protesters, including many from Washington State.
My father, my grandfather, my family, our Nisqually people fought so hard to get our treaty rights, get our fishing rights along this river.
The family of Willie Frank III made its name 40 years ago, fighting for the Nisqually tribe's right to fish, something that was promised but not delivered until confrontations and protests in the 1970s. That's why Willie Frank, seen here with Nisquallies and Lummies and other Washington tribes, felt called to join the protests in North Dakota. Activists chained themselves to heavy equipment and blocked access to job sites where crews are trying to build an 1,100-mile oil pipeline from the Bakken fields of North Dakota to Illinois.
But that is their sacred grounds. That's their sacred area. Burial grounds are out there.
Tribes answered the call of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, who said that the project had already disturbed ancestral lands and that the Army Corps of Engineers hadn't given the tribe a chance to weigh in on the project.
They're trying to desecrate our sacred lands.
Today, a federal judge refused requests by the tribe and environmental groups to halt the project, saying the Corps followed the proper procedure.
I think the main concern is if a leak happens, if a breakage happens in the pipe.
The pipeline company says the line will reduce dependence on foreign oil and denies that the project has unearthed burial sites. There have been clashes between protesters and private security.
I don't think they want anything to end up being violent. You know, this has to be peaceful. You know, and I think you just kind of go back to the drawing board with it and you figure out the next step for the Standing Rock people.
Chris Ingalls, King 5 News.
Late today, some better news for the tribes. The Army Corps of Engineers asked the pipeline company to voluntarily halt construction while it reconsiders some of the permits it granted. No word yet if the pipeline company will comply.